Welcome back. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration taking new steps to cut unnecessary red tape from its drug review process. The FDA launching a national priority voucher to drastically reduce review times for products with the potential to align with national health priorities. The agency already approved 3 products through this voucher program in under 60 days. The process previously took up to a year. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is the Commissioner of the FDA, Dr. Marty Makary. Dr. Makary, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Good morning.
Tell us more about this program and its benefit.
Well, look, Maria, we are on the hunt for game-changing therapies, things that are radical, new therapeutics that really are changing survival in a significant way or changing quality of life. We're identifying new powerful therapies, and when we see them, we're not just in a receive-only mode. We are partnering with the companies to make sure they get the medications in their applications through their process quickly, and we're giving decisions out in a matter of weeks, and that's unheard of for the FDA. Let me give you an example. 3 weeks ago, we approved zongertinib for non-small cell lung cancer. That's a certain subtype. In 44 days. Now, this medication doubles or increases the response rate by 2.5. So a 200 to a 250% increase in the response rate. The response rate to the for these tumors was about 35 to 40%. It's 76% with this new medication. We got a decision out in 44 days. Another drug for multiple myeloma, decision out in 55 days. Now, that doubles the survival, the overall survival. So we are out there proactively. These medications we just approved have the potential to take people out of hospice. When you see something that powerful, you want to deliver for the American people. And President Trump wants to see more cures and meaningful treatments for the American public. Of
course, that's incredible. Now, speak to speed versus safety. Dr. Makary, I know one of the ways you're doing this is you've dropped this long-standing 2-study requirement, and that has also helped in terms of faster approvals. What do you want to say to those people who are worried that speed over safety is a concern?
Well, in order to get the decisions out quickly, what we're doing is simply cutting idle time and cutting unnecessary red tape. We will never cut corners on safety at the FDA, and that's because if you do so, it'll be a public health fiasco. We have impeccable scientific judgment. Our teams work diligently, and what we're seeing now is when these applications come in for these medications that are game changers, we're going to work right away. And so we're really getting these decisions out quickly by cutting idle time.
Okay. So what would be sort of an acceptable, risk threshold then in terms of getting it out as fast as you can?
Yeah, so the risk threshold is exactly the same, but we do things like what you're referring to earlier when you said we're no longer requiring routinely 2 clinical trials, that is 2 pivotal phase 3 trials for every single medication. You can achieve the same statistical power with 1 well-powered, well-controlled, randomized controlled trial. And so places at the FDA, like the Oncology Center, like the Rare Disease area, have already been doing that. So we've said that we want that to be the standard for all medications that come through the FDA. It can save the companies $300 million and it can save time. All the things we're doing, reducing unnecessary animal testing, reduces the R&D costs, which translates into lower drug prices for everyday Americans. That's a major priority in this administration. So we're by having more time in the system that is not critical to safety or efficacy, that has risks. When we wait, when there's idle time, that has risks. When you're a patient that desperately could benefit from one of these promising therapies.
Yeah, that's very good. And of course, the people who are suffering from those various illnesses are grateful on that. So thank you for that transparency. Also, the FDA sending a new warning to 30 different telehealth companies, warning them against illegal marketing of the compounded GLP-1 drugs to customers. This is the second warning sent to these firms since September, Commissioner, and you said this, quote, compounded drugs can be important for overcoming shortages or meeting unique patient needs, but compounders should not try to compound drugs in a way that circumvents the FDA's approval process. You've specifically spoken with Novo Nordisk. You say that Novo Nordisk failed to report deaths of patients using the popular weight loss drug Ozempic and Wegovy. We know that many people are on these drugs. You wrote to the company, quote, failure to adequately address your non-compliance suggests systemic failures with your surveillance, receipt, evaluation, and reporting of adverse drug experiences to the FDA. Deficiencies discussed in the letter raised concerns about the firm's ability to monitor the safety of your products. Commissioner, what do we need to understand about this?
Well, look, the companies in the United States play by the same rules. And the rules are that when there's an adverse event, say, for example, if somebody has a major complication for your medication and the company knows about it, they're supposed to report it to the FDA. So what we saw with Novo Nordisk was I would say it was a minor offense equivalent to a parking ticket. We need to let companies know that if they don't report something, that they should be reporting. Now, separately, the telehealth companies have been doing something that's not fair to the pharmaceutical companies. That is, they go through the back door, make non-FDA approved copycats of what companies like Novo or Lilly make, and then they sell it directly to the public without going through the system. Well, it's not fair to Lilly and Novo and the companies that are going through the system. So we are creating a level playing field. We're not afraid to send out warning letters. In the last administration, say, for example, the year before I came to office, the FDA had sent out 0 warning letters to companies. The entire department had produced 0 warning letters at the FDA. So I've sent out 1,500 letters letting companies know the rules, and we've sent out 72 warning letters to companies that make copycats that are not FDA approved. It's just not fair to the companies that go through the system.
That's very good. And look, the FDA is undergoing one of the biggest shakeups and transformations in its history under your leadership, Commissioner. The FDA also recently launched a new framework accelerating the development of individualized therapies to help cure ultra-rare diseases. I know that's been a top priority at the Health Department and certainly for the Trump administration. What can you tell us there?
Well, you just can't do a randomized controlled trial when it comes to an ultra-rare disease. So we have to use common sense. So we've done a lot. We've introduced the new plausible mechanism framework. That is, if the medication or the gene therapy has a mechanism of action that makes sense, then we're going to go ahead and use regulatory flexibility. We did that last year with baby KJ. That was an infant who got a gene therapy at birth for a rare genetic defect at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. You just can't do a trial in something that rare. So we were proud to be a part of that, and that baby's doing very well. We want to see more baby KJs. We want to have regulatory flexibilities with the smaller labs, which is where a lot of these gene therapies come from. You can't hold them to the same manufacturing standards of those that are mass manufacturing. Sometimes individual scientists or academics are creating a meaningful therapy. They don't need to go through the same routine requirements. I'm happy to report that we hit a record number of approvals in our CBER division in December, cell and gene therapies. And last year, we had a near record number of approvals at the FDA for new drugs.
You're also taking major steps to reduce and ultimately end animal testing by advancing new approach methodologies there, streamlining non-clinical study requirements, and maintaining those safety standards. Is this a priority?
It's a huge priority. We are eliminating unnecessary animal testing. That's a lot of the animal testing because, Maria, 90% of drugs that pass on animal testing do not pass in humans. And so what are we doing? We may actually be missing out on important cures because they don't get through the animal testing process. And we can do better in predicting toxicity in humans using AI and computational modeling. So we've made major milestones in changing those requirements. You don't need chimpanzees anymore for monoclonal antibodies. It's something everyone rallies around. And again, it shortens the time for new cures to come to the American public, and it lowers R&D costs. That translates into lower drug prices for everyday Americans.
That's all good. Dr. Makary, it's good to see you. We'll be following your work as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.